It is my great privilege to introduce to you our speaker today, who I'm beginning to think needs no introduction. She's been with us before. We have the Reverend Deb Hammond, who is an ordained interfaith minister by way of One Spirit Seminary, as well as a licensed religious science spiritual practitioner since 2009, beginning in the Oakland Bay area. It is her joy and passion in supporting all to rediscover and express their authentic truths using various spiritual practices such as meditation, affirmative prayer, visioning, just to name a few. In recognizing their true expression of the One, whole, perfect, and amazing, exactly as they are. Reverend Deb is a wisdom seeker, a person who answers the call to live a life that continues to awaken her to an inner knowing and continues to lift her to a higher level of consciousness. Reverend Deb is a member of the Focus Ministry Platinum Butterfly Ministries, where Reverend Dr. Jacqueline Edwards is the senior minister in Oakland, California. She is a continuous student, teacher of metaphysics, New Thought, as well as an inspirational speaker, spiritual coach, and clinical hypnotherapist. Boy, don't give me small words there, Reverend Deb. And without any further delay, let me turn it over to Reverend Deb.
Thank you, Jan. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Ubuntu. To you all. Robin, thank you for that song this morning. It just really just kind of hits home, really. It's like home. It's like, and I feel that way when I'm here with you all, with this community, with Rockland CSL community. I had the honor of meeting up with Reverend Melissa at the conference in St. Louis a few weeks ago, and we had not seen each other since we graduated from ministerial school. So it's like, of course, I went searching for her. I said, okay, I know she's here somewhere, and so we had to connect. And that's the thing that reminds me of this process of the power of connection, because we never know where that connection that we make is going to lead us. And, and I think about when I met Melissa in ministerial school, that was we graduated 2008. So we started 2006. And that connection that was built with her and with so many of our other classmates, it's created this connection. And we're spread out all over the world. So with the teachings that we receive, not just from our ministerial programs, but also in religious science and new thought in our lives, we have the ability to take those tidbits of information, those nuggets, and we get to spread that across the world. As we spread that one connection that we may have made, be it from a smile from someone, be it that someone may have given us a compliment and made our day, and we take that and we run with it. It's like, oh my gosh, this person smiled at me. It's like, oh, how wonderful is that? And it makes your day, and you get to connect with so many other people in that same way. And I think about with the Ubuntu, I am because you are. And as I was writing this talk, and I was like, all right, Spirit, what are we working with here? And there are a lot of things that have come to mind for me of what to speak on. But one of the main things that I was reminded of is that our first connection that we have is with Spirit, is with the divine that's within us. And that is our first connection that we have even before we are conceived. We have that thought, that idea of us when we are coming here to be birthed into our mothers, through our mothers. And that next connection that we have of connection is that connection that we have with our mothers or whomever it was that I'm going to say it's our mother. It's like whatever the relationship may be. But that connection that we had, that seed when we were conceived, that was that other connection. And that connection to our parents, to our mothers, it creates us because we get to hear in the womb, we get to hear conversations that are happening. We get to hear prayers that are happening. We get to feel those prayers that are happening, conversations that are happening, thoughts that are happening with, it's like within the mother, outside conversations, because just because you're in the womb doesn't mean that you can't hear, doesn't mean that you can't feel. And when we come through that womb with them of our mothers, we go out, we're nurtured. So there's that connection that we're being nurtured in some way. In many cases, we feel that we come in that we're wanting to be loved. And sometimes there are people that have not felt that love connection when they've come through that birth canal, because some people have been adopted right away and gone to other families, or given up and gone to foster care families. And so sometimes people don't always feel that love. But what I know is that within us always resides that connection of spirit, that no matter where we are, where we go, I'm always reminded that God always loves us. So just to keep, that's the thing that Spirit keeps reminding me. Just remember that no matter what is going on in our world and in our affairs, that we have that connection with Spirit, with Source, with God, with whatever name you want to use. And that spreads. It's like it creates us, it helps us to move in the right direction. And sometimes we may, as we get older, hit these little snags along the way that may not remind us of our connection with Spirit, with Source. But God never, 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 never forgets who we are, never stops loving us. And we have to come back to those places. So as I'm still preparing for this talk and writing everything out, I had to think about what physically prepared me for this talk on power of connection. And one of the biggest things right now is that when I was last on with you all, I was in Savannah, Georgia. And I relocated back to here in the Bay Area. So I'm back in Oakland, California. And one of the catalysts for that was while I was in Savannah, and I left the Bay Area, I've been gone for 11 years. So between Savannah and Texas, I've made so many different connections and been a part of so many different communities. But when there's an opportunity and I went back to Georgia, but this time I went back was for work, but I still didn't have the connections that I really wanted. I didn't have that family connection, the spiritual connections. And when we're not in that place of receiving the connections that really support us and help us to grow and evolve, that makes our hearts happy, there's something that happens within me. I can speak for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I can only imagine if you're not feeling the connection that you want, what does that do to your psyche? What does that do to your mental state? What does that do to your heart space? Because there are so many people that feel so alone and feel lonely. And I realized that I was in that place, that I was heading in that place. So when I came back here came back to California in December for Christmas, I had an opportunity to go see my sister and family in LA. And I spent time with family and friends here in the Bay Area. And it hit me then, this is what I've been missing. It's like I've been missing that connection with family, with loved ones, to be able to go out and, it's like go to clubs, not even clubs, but, to music events and different things. I'm not a club person, but it's like, but if Yoshi's is the club, then that's the club. But I realized that I was missing that. It's like missing that missing that connection with other people, even if I didn't know them personally, but I knew the musicians. I knew of their music, and I got to experience that in person. But the main thing is that I was missing that love that I had not received while I had returned back to Georgia. And I made the decision. I'm like, okay, Spirit, where are we going? Because I didn't think it was going to be California right away. I was looking at other places, like, oh, I know people here, I know people here, because I've made so many amazing connections with people. And that's allowed me to be able to say, well, I know some people here. Let me call them up. But Spirit was like, no, you're going back home. California is not my birth home, but it is the place that I've been for 25, 26 years. And it's been my home. And I realized that's what I needed. I needed to go home. And that's where I am right now. And even in this place of it's, almost 8 o'clock here, but to be able to connect with you all on this at this time, because you all are home for me as well. I realize as I connect with so many different communities where I speak at different communities, that there is a part in there that feels like home, because it's like I take a piece of you with me and I leave a piece of me there with you all. But I think about in our religious science world that there's a quote from Ernest Holmes when we talk about this power that's within us that we get to connect with at any given time, always. And his quote says, we have within us a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer, a power that can overcome every obstacle in our life and set us safe, satisfied and at peace, healed and prosperous, in a new light and in a new life. And so I started thinking, it's like in this place that even those moments that I felt alone, I knew that I could go and tap into that power within me. And it may not feel like the hugs that I get when I meet people, in person and I haven't seen in a while. And it's like, that just warm hug that you see, that greeting. And it's like in some cases now, it's like people are still fist bumping and everything, but it's still that connection that we have when when we come together, when we create these communities. And I know some of you all, it's like when I come on, I remember Cheryl was talking about months ago, it's like play a pickleball. The pickleball, it's like, and that's the community of people that come together. And it's like, and they're out there having fun, they're working out, they're sweating, whatever they're doing, but they're creating communities and they like each other. And that's the thing, that this power of connection. We can't just always go out and just be a wallflower. It's like you go and stand up against the wall, you don't want to connect with anyone. And sometimes we're shy. We don't, it's like, or for me, it's like I kind of read the room sometimes. Energy is like, is this the place for me? And then I might spot somebody that I know, or somebody may come into my awareness. Like, maybe I'll go and connect with that person there, never knowing how it unfolds. And it becomes that person could become a lifelong friend. But there's this willingness to say yes, that I'm ready to connect, that I want to connect, that I want to create community with people. As we are in this place now of about to elect our president, whomever that may be, this has called forth such a great opportunity for community and that place of that power of the communities that we are seeing. Regardless of which candidate people are voting for, there is that connection that is being created from each candidate's camps. When they've had the conventions on TV, you've seen thousands and thousands of people. I don't know how many it holds, but it looked like it was a whole lot when I watched. But all of these people are coming together for a cause because they want to see something greater happening in their minds in this world. What does that greater look like? We can do the same thing in our communities. I've seen it happen. People have gone to the White House and have done prayer, had groups sitting on the Capitol stairs and have done prayer. And that energy of the prayer, the power of connection of those prayers goes out into the universe, goes out into the world, and it creates. People have said that they felt a calmness, that they felt something that they've not felt before, because at a certain time, at 12 o'clock, regardless of wherever you are, you're doing a prayer. And that prayer is going out into the universe. It's making that connection with the universe and is bringing it back that you've set your intention for. This is that opportunity for us to set that intention for what it is that we want to see in our world. That place of love, that place of peace, fairness, and opportunity for us to be who we are. This is that opportunity to set that intention and to continue to connect with others. I don't know if you all are doing like a weekly or daily prayer group or anything, but I know there are some people that come together and they set the intention for, like we have on a daily basis now, the 100 days of intention for the election. I don't know how many of you are doing that, but there's a recording that comes every day when you join that. And there's this intention that's being set. And it started because it was based on, from this date, July, I think 28th, until the date of the election, to hold the intention of love, of peace, of joy, to hold that space. We get to do that for the world, but we also get to do it for ourselves. We get to hold ourselves in a place that we set an intention for how we want to show up in the world. We get to set an intention for what it is that we want to heal. We may have family members that we may not have spoken to for whatever reason, that this may be that time to reconnect, to do a healing. And maybe it's just to do a prayer for them. And it's like you may not have to see them physically, but if it's causing angst in your body, in your affairs, then that's an opportunity to connect. A lot of times I'll tell people, you can connect on the spiritual level. You don't have to physically go and see this person. You can call their name and say, I love you. I see you. I recognize you. And you're saying that to the soul essence of who that person is. We can do this with anyone on this planet if we allow ourselves to be able to step out and say that we're ready for something different, that I want to be connected to the soul of that soul that's in that person. To recognize the God in each person that we see, how do we connect to that person? That's the power of connection. We set the intention because it's not about the other person. It's about how we are feeling. It's about what we want to experience in our world. Because if we're running around holding a lot of anger and resentment, we're holding that in our bodies, and there's no room for it to escape. It has to be able to, we have to be willing to be able to let go of the anger, the angst that we're holding in our bodies. Janet, you were talking about you were a massage therapist. And I remember it's like that I never had heard, I've heard of the word, that we have cold in our body. I never had experienced it that I knew of. And I realized that one time I was getting a massage and I was on the table. And all of a sudden, the room was nice and warm. All of a sudden, this guy hit a certain pocket. And in that pocket, it opened up something cold within me. And all of a sudden, I started freezing. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And say, wait a minute, I need a blanket. I need something. But I realized that I was holding this cold. I was holding something within my body that needed to be released. And it was because he happened to hit a certain area that was causing me some pain, and it opened it up and it released it. That's the same thing that can happen when we're holding on to resentment and anger. As I've moved back here to the Bay Area, you know, you talking about road rage and crazy drivers, and you have so much stuff that's happening right now out in the streets and in the world. And it wants to put you, sometimes you might want to go to that place of anger. And it's okay to feel that. It's okay if you need to, whatever it is that we need to feel. We need to feel it, to express it, but also to be able to bless it and to release it. Because if we hold on to anger, we're being angry with ourselves because we think that we may have done something wrong. We may have been in the wrong, I should have left 10 minutes ago, and then I would have missed, this traffic, I would have missed this. But we start blaming ourselves for sometimes a situation or a condition that's happening right in front of us. We don't have to do that. This is that opportunity that when we connect to that divine within us, we allow ourselves to listen to that spirit guide, to listen and to follow the instructions if you choose to. It's all about choice. For me, what I've learned is that I have to follow my instructions, because it's like when I don't follow my spiritual instructions, yeah, it doesn't turn out really well. And I've experienced that too many times. And I was like, okay, I'll listen next time. It's like, I will listen. And it's never failed me. God has never failed me even when I've made this move here and still going through what seems like some dilemmas of looking for work and, moving into my perfect home. But what I know is that in this place of connection with spirit, that power of connection, to know that truly that God is the source. I don't know how it all unfolds, how it all comes together. What I do know is that the what is mine, the what is yours, and the how is up to spirit. In this place of power of connection, we must remember that our connection with spirit is so key that it guides us and puts us in places that we never could have imagined. And I'm sure it's like when Reverend Melissa came to this center, she probably had no thought of saying, I'm going to run and be the senior minister for the spiritual community. And so now it's been a while that she's been there and running in this role. And what I know is that it's the power of connection with spirit. It's the power of connection that we've gone through ministerial school. It's the power of connection to be able to connect with so many people within the CSL organization and community, that people know who she is. People know who other ministers are that's in our communities. We get to bring other people into our world, into your communities. You brought Robin into your community. It's like, and she was introduced by someone else. That was that power of connection. The power of connection I had with Reverend Melissa in order to be able to be here with you all. Who can you connect with? Who is it that you've not connected with, or that you wanted to connect with and you're like, I don't have time. I don't know if I really want to do that. Whatever it is, if there is an inkling for you to connect with someone, reach out. Even if it's a matter of when looking at yourself in the mirror and connecting with yourself. Start with that place of that power of connection. We think about the power of connection of companies that come together. It's like these corporations and stuff that come together. And there's a brainchild that's behind the conglomerate of the corporation, whatever the company is. But in order for them to be able to be successful, they have to connect and create communities of people. They have to create jobs. They have to create opportunities for people to excel and to exceed, for the company to excel and to exceed whatever their goals are. This is the same thing that we do in our world and our affairs. What goals are we putting together? That are we bringing teams together? Are we bringing a prayer partner in to create that connection? Are we bringing in a practitioner to come in and support us in this power of connection? Because that's another connection. When you're connecting with your practitioners, that's a power of connection, because when they say when two or more are gathered, baby, it's coming. It's happening. There is an agreement that's being made. And I always tell people, be ready for what you ask for, because when you ask for it, it is coming. It may not show up right away, but that connection that you have with spirit always says yes. And sometimes it may not show up how we think it needs to show up, or how in our minds, how we think. It's like, that's not what I thought it was going to look like. When I moved to Georgia, I thought the same thing. It's like, why am I moving to Georgia? I don't know any, I don't know a lot of people here. But it became the place that I needed to do my healing. It became that place for me to do my continued spiritual growth. It became an opportunity for me to step in and say yes. So what I'm doing today, when I'm in this place of today, right now, knowing that everything is truly working out for our good, when we have that power of connection, we all are connected right here and right now in this moment. And in this moment, as we're looking at each other on the screen, and I know you all come together in person, that power of connection of the people that you bring together for your community, that place of openness that you allow yourself to be loved. When we dive deeper into the truth about who we are and that the spirit within us of who God is within us, there is this opportunity that there is no separation. There is no, that opportunity that there is nothing that says, well, I feel so lonely and alone. And we can feel that. But a lot of times we go back to that place of we don't feel that we're connected with spirit. We feel that we're like out here by ourselves, and we're not. Sometimes you have to pick up the phone just to hear somebody's voice. Sometimes we go out to dinner, and it's like, and even was it some places I've gone to, it's like in Starbucks or whatever, and people are standing in line, they do a pay it forward, or they, pay for the person behind them. That's creating that connection. They may not know, the person behind them may not know that person in front, but it's that connection of energy. It's that connection of giving. It's that connection of, in a way, tithing. Because even as we tithe, we're connected to the place that we're tithing our funds to. But we're also tithing this, knowing that spirit, as we tithe and letting it go, that it comes back to us. That's always my prayer. It's like, that I'm circulating out into the world comes back to me. That's that connection of prayer. That's the connection of affirming what it is that we want to have and see happen in our world and in our affairs. In this moment, think about something that you want to connect with, that you've had some angst with, or that you've just not seen in a while, and they've been on your mind. It's like, oh, I really need to connect with so and so. Make an intention to connect with that person, even if it's send a text message or call them up on the phone, or if you're nearby, pay them a visit. Make an intention that when you're in the store, when you're walking somewhere, that you just connect with someone and just say good morning. Smile at someone. That's the power of connection. When I was in retail and I would be in the stores, and I would say good morning to people. Sometimes they said good morning back, sometimes they didn't. But the ones that did, they were like, oh my gosh, good morning, how are you? It's like it really shifted their energy. And it helped to shift my energy as well, because and then I wasn't in this place of, well, they didn't even say good morning. I said good morning, and I had to bring myself back to this space. It's like, okay, maybe they're not having a good day, and I can just bless them on their journey. Or maybe they didn't hear me. So rather than making something up, I connect with that spirit within. And I invite you to do the same thing. This place of, again, Robin, your song, home. Home is within us. Home is wherever we are. That is home. What does home feel like? What are you connected to in your home? Sometimes it could just be, what, I used to have this sofa. I was so connected to this sofa that I would come in sometimes and just get in the corner of the sofa, and I was just like, okay, I am not leaving my house for this weekend. And it was like, oh my gosh, this sofa feels so comfortable. It's like it's what I needed in that moment. And it's the same thing when we greet people. It's like sometimes that hug that we get is what we needed. We may not have known it. Sometimes I've hugged people and they just started just breaking down crying. And I'm like, did I hug them too tightly? But it was what they needed in that moment because sometimes people just want to be held. They want to be recognized. That's the power of connection. But I invite you to remember to connect with yourselves. Hug yourself sometimes when you're feeling angst or something or anxiety or something. Hug yourself, connect with yourself. Look in the mirror and bless yourself, love yourself. You know, sometimes people dance around the house. It's like you're connecting with the music. There's nobody else there. It's like you're just dancing around the house. I have a friend of mine that does that, a beloved that does that, and will wake up in the morning singing songs, and just all of a sudden it's just like bouncing around the house. But that's that connection with self. That's that connection with spirit. And it moves us in ways that support us throughout the day, throughout the week. We never know how long until we come back and do it again. Wake up the next morning, do it all over again. But think about who is it that you're wanting to connect with, and knowing that the power, the energetic power of connection is mighty right now. We need your connections in as we move forward in our elections, in our world. Mother Gaia needs your connection right here and right now. That the earth that we live on needs our connections, needs that power of love, to connect with peace, to connect with ways that support the healing of this planet. That's the power of connection, and it starts with a thought. It starts with a prayer. It starts with the intention. So think about what intention that you're wanting to set. And as we do that, we take this into prayer. And just giving thanks in this right now moment. Ooh, as we just take in a deep breath and just think of this power of the prayer that we're doing, how we're all connecting one to another, even on the Zoom screen, that we're in different places, different homes, but we're connected right here, right now. And what I know is that spirit is connected with each one of us right now, that there's this opportunity that we just get to continue to say yes. Say yes to spirit that resides within us. Say yes to that we're being called to do. Say yes to the love that we are sending out into Mother Gaia, that we are sending out into the world, that we are sending out to our loved ones, even those individuals that we may have some angst against, that we send that love out to them. Because the thing is like that we are all connected. We are all connected, even if it may not be in our bloodlines, but we are all connected because I'm now connected with you all and you all are connected with me. And so as you reach out to your family, you take my connection to you out into the world, to these loved ones, and I take yours with me wherever I go. And that's how God operates, because wherever we go, God is right there with us, doing this amazing work in our world, in our affairs, in our lives. I'm grateful for this time that we have come here together, knowing that the love of God resides within each and every one of us. That I am because you are. God is because we are. We are because of God. There is no separation with God and I. There's no separation with God and you. There's no separation from God and. It's God is, God as each one of us. God as Dad, right here, right now. And just think about God as, and put your name into this place. God as each one of you. And imagine the power that you have, knowing that God within you is doing amazing things. So I give thanks for this time that we have come here together. I give thanks for this love. I give thanks for this power of connection that we have in this moment, and that we take this out into the world. knowing that it is already done in the mind of God. And I just anchor this prayer with, and I invite you to do the same with, and so it is.